180 Sports, Joe Buglio here, and lots of baseball news going on in the Chicago area. As late last night in the wee hours of the morning, Jon Lester officially signed a deal with the Chicago Cubs, agreeing to a 6-year, $155 million deal. There is a seventh-year option that could make the deal up to $170 million. He definitely will improve on the Cubs' ERA that was 21st overall as a team in the National League at a 3.91 and only had 79 quality starts, which was 24th in the league, 19th in whip at 1.30. Jon Lester is a great competitor, great starter. He's a world champion coming over from Boston as he reunites with Theo Epstein, who was the GM in Boston when he was drafted. He drafted him in the second round a couple years ago when Lester got started. And they've counted on him. Theo knows what he's doing over there, and this is the guy that he's wanted because it's the guy that he went after from day one when he was in Boston, and he wants him to be a part of his rebuild in Chicago. There's a lot of rumblings that Chicago's not done either. They just acquired Miguel Montero from the Arizona Diamondbacks, the catcher, so there's another piece in place there. There are rumblings that Evan Longoria could be on the trading block. He was the all-star third baseman for Joe Madden when he was down in Tampa Bay. Now that he is the manager of the Chicago Cubs, he's bringing over guys he's familiar with. They're talking about Johnny Gomes is available. They're talking about other people that have played for Joe Madden and guys that he has available. Now, Longoria would be very, very interesting because Chris Bryant is a top prospect for the Cubs down in AAA Iowa, who almost broke the minor league single-season home run record, came up just short, didn't get called up in the late parts of the season, latter parts when the rosters expand for the playoff stretch. The Cubs decided to keep him down in AAA and let him run down there, which some fans were a little upset after a lot of the other younger guys got their chances throughout the season to show what they had in the bigs. But Bryant's hoping that this year, coming into spring training and going into the regular season, that he gets a chance to be on the 40-man roster for the Cubs and be that starting third baseman, not only for the future, but for right now. Now, Jon Lester, the Cubs moved in at least in the betting world, from 40-1 odds to go to the World Series to 12-1. They are now projected to have the same odd chance of going to the World Series as the St. Louis Cardinals and the Baltimore Orioles. Now, both of those teams went to their respective American League and National League Championship Series in the playoffs. They went to the playoffs. They went to the Championship Series. They've been there for the last couple years, at least for St. Louis. The Orioles have been to the playoffs the last 2 years and went to the ALCS this year, even though they got knocked out very quickly by the reigning champion, the Kansas City Royals. They played very good. They have a very young roster, and they're going to be there for a while, it seems. The Cubs jumping from 40-1 to 12-1, I see everybody getting excited, but that could be a bit of a stretch. They have a lot of good young bats. These guys are going to struggle, though, throughout the season. You could see it when they came up last year. They would fluctuate, go up and down in batting average and all those other categories, hitting and strikeouts. Strikeouts is the biggest thing. You're going to have a lot of guys coming up, these young kids coming up, getting adjusted to the league and getting ready for the 162-game grind of a season. But is Lester going to help? Absolutely. They needed pitching. That's the biggest thing. The Cubs have a lot of hitting prospects. They have a lot of hitting prospects. And, you can't always just win on position players. You need to have pitching and defense, and the pitching definitely got a boost today, Lester. And the Cubs have money to spend, and Theo's not afraid to spend it. And Joe Madden knows how to develop young players, and he knows Lester from being in the American League East and plotting to play against him so much against the Red Sox being in Tampa. So he's definitely has a good start for the Cubs. Now, another name that's going to sound familiar to Northsiders is coming home, but this time to his favorite team as a child, not just the one that he played for. Jeff Samardzija was involved in a 6-player deal between the White Sox and the Oakland Athletics to send Samardzija over to the south side of Chicago. He did play his first 6.5 seasons on the north side for the Cubs and was great, had an all-star appearance. He's going to be a great addition to the White Sox. Excited for the opportunity to play for the White Sox and to come back to Chicago.
I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am. And especially after watching Robin play for so long at third, the hot corner, man, it's pretty crazy that he's going to be my manager now. So it's fun. It's just double awesome here to be traded not only to a team I love and grew up watching, but to a situation where the White Sox are right now in the direction they're going. It's, I'm excited and I'm really chomping at the bit to get going. It's even though it's only December, you start getting that itch about this time.
They have, for the first time ever, it seems like, or at least a lot of teams, you always want that, very good. You're always looking for left-handed pitching. Left-handers are the key to having a successful bullpen, so you can throw in and mix and match when guys are coming up to the plate. Now, the White Sox had the problem of not having enough lefties when they first got Chris Sale, and then they had John Danks, and that was pretty much it. They had not that many guys in the bullpen either. At the time, there was Matt Thornton was in the bullpen as they're sole lefty. So going into it now, they just picked up Zach Duke from Milwaukee to have a left-handed back-end bullpen guy. They just signed David Robertson, who was a free agent from the Yankees. They agreed to a 4-year deal for $46 million to come over. He was 4-5 last season with 39 saves 39 out of 44. So that's a pretty good conversion, especially when you're taking over after Mariano Rivera. So the 29-year-old has a 2.81 overall ERA over 7 seasons. 1 year, with the year he went to an All-Star appearance, he had an ERA of 1.08. He's a very good back-end reliever, and he proved that he could be a closer in one of the toughest markets that you can play in New York, not just for the Mets or anybody like that. It's the Yankees. The Yankees are king, and he proved that he could take the pressure in there. I don't see why he can't handle the pressure over in the Windy City. The White Sox had the worst bullpen in the league. They were 27th overall in ERA with a 4.29, which is mainly because of the bullpen. Quality starts, they were pretty good though. 89, that was 13th in the league, and 28th overall though with a 1.41 whip. Chris Sale was a top 3 in that category, but everybody else not as high. Now, is he going to help out? Absolutely. With Duke and Robertson in the back end of that bullpen for the White Sox and the young guys that got experience last season like Zach Petrecki, they're going to be in good shape. I mean, this bullpen is looking like it could go from the bottom to the top very quickly. And with Samardzija coming over, he will be a free agent. This is the last year of him being arbitration eligible. He'll make about $9 to $10 million. He will be a free agent at the end of the season. Kenny Williams, Rick Hahn and company for the White Sox front office has said they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they get Samardzija a deal on the table and make sure he stays a South Sider for a long time. And as for Sox fans, that's something very important. You don't want to just have this guy as a 1-year rental. Somebody of that caliber to go into this rotation that the White Sox have. You have Chris Sale, who is a Cy Young candidate every season and maybe the best young left-hander in the league with him and Strasburg. I mean, those are probably the two top lefties, young lefties. So you're going to have Chris Sale, then you have Jeff Samardzija, you have Jose Quintana, who despite his numbers do lie because he was fantastic last season, didn't get a lot of run support and ended up not having a great record, and his ERA ended up going up a little bit, but he didn't have defensive help. The White Sox didn't play as great behind him as they could have. So he's going to be in there, followed by John Danks, who could have a rebound season, and rookie from last year, Carlos Rodon, who never got to come up last year during the end of the season. He was a reliever starting down in AAA, but he's definitely going to be part of the rotation mix, and for the White Sox, that is huge. They also signed a left-handed bat to fill in for Adam Dunn being out, and Adam LaRoche, and that's going to help. He's going to be able to give a break to Jose Abreu at first, and also play a little bit of and play DH as well to fill in for the whole of Paul Konerko retiring. So the White Sox and the Cubs, the future looks bright. Evan Longoria, the name I said for the north side, heard this morning, he could be a possibility for the south side as well. He could be on the trading block. MLB insider Bruce Levine was on the Score this morning saying that Evan Longoria could be a good spot for the north or the south side of Chicago.
Third base, Connor Gillespie, he's a guy. He's not going to be good enough. If they're going to compete, they're going to go after somebody else. So we'll see if Evan Longoria, Joe Maddon's former star third baseman, is looked at by the White Sox, looked at by the Cubs, traded over the next month or two.
Now, if they were to get him at third base, the Cubs have Bryant, the younger, up and coming. Do you really want to block his progression to the majors, or do you want to let him take over? He has the connection to Joe Maddon. He's comfortable with him. Maddon knows Longoria. But for the White Sox, they do have Connor Gillespie at third base. He's not your everyday typical third baseman. He was the steal of a guy they got from the Giants in a trade a couple years ago for basically nothing, and he's been great. He's been averaging over 300 the 2 seasons he's been with the White Sox. Hasn't been a great power third baseman, which you want out of that corner position. Insert Evan Longoria. He's your power guy. You can move Gillespie. He can play multiple spots. He could turn into your everyday left fielder because then you can move Diane Viciado onto the bench and he can be your spot filler in the outfield, something you can look into, as the Sox are also linked to possibly Melky Cabrera. They are interested in him. He's going to be a lot of money, though. Be very interesting to see if they could get that outfield arm that's an all-star. So that would help a lot as well. And now, as far as the hockey world, Scott Darling is now 4-1 with a 1.76 ERA as the Blackhawks came from behind and stunned the New Jersey Devils in a shootout loss. New Jersey has not won a shootout game in almost 2 years. It's been a very, very long time for the New Jersey Devils, and every time they get to the shootouts, they just they want it gone forever. They never want to go to a shootout again. Patrick Sharp made his return for the Blackhawks. He had an assist. He played very good. The Hawks came from behind, scored at 16:47 mark in the third period. Duncan Keith from Marian Hossa and Jonathan Taves. Taser also scored the winner in the shootout as the Blackhawks win their 7th in a row. They have now won, I believe, 11 out of 13, and they are still on top of the division as they're above the Predators Predators, and they're making a move to the top of the Western Conference as well, doing what they can to get over there, playing very well. So the Hawks looking good as they continue on their road trip. Well, not even a road trip. They're just out a little bit of an East Coast swing. Bulls are playing the Brooklyn Nets tonight at the UC. Dougie Fresh, Doug McDermott will not be playing, as well as Joakim Noah. Those guys are getting the night off for a little bit of rest. Bulls looking to bounce back after falling to the Warriors over the weekend. Steve Kerr and company just flying through the league as they're on a tear, 13 in a row. And Steve Kerr, it was 18-2 in his first 20 games. That is the best record ever for a head coach to start out in his first 20 games in a career. That's all I have for you right now. Keep tuning in to 180 Sports for all your sporting needs.